Who ended up with control in eastern Kentucky on this day in history, January 10th, 1862, in the only battle commanded by then Colonel James A. Garfield. The Union defeated the Confederacy at the Battle of Middle Creek, giving the Union federal control over the eastern region of the heavily divided slave state of Kentucky. Leading up to the Battle of Middle Creek, Confederate Brigadier General Humphrey Marshall led forces into eastern Kentucky to continue the recruiting efforts. Marshall recruited about 2,000 volunteers by early January, but could only partially equip them with the necessary gear. For the Union, Brigadier General Boyle directed Colonel James A. Garfield to force Marshall to retreat into Virginia. Garfield then took command of the 18th Brigade and began his march. As he was moving south, Garfield convinced the Confederates to abandon a town they were guarding and retreat to the surroundings. His movements were slow as swamps and streams impeded his path, but he arrived in the vicinity of Marshall on January 9th. Starting bright and early at 4 a.m., Garfield marched a mile west near the forks of Middle Creek and fought the Confederate cavalry. He then turned west to attack Marshall, but Marshall had already moved his men into line of battle north and east of the creek. Garfield repositioned and attacked shortly after noon. Fighting continued for most of the afternoon until Union reinforcements arrived and discouraged the Confederates from attacking further. Instead, they retired south and were ordered back to Virginia 2 weeks later. Garfield's troops then moved to the neighboring town after the fight and returned to their headquarters in Paintsville, but the victory had been achieved. Union forces successfully halted the 1861 Confederate offensive in Kentucky and showed that their strength, even in the lesser known and less traveled parts of the conflict, had not declined. In conjunction with the Battle of Mill Springs a week later, the Union had cemented control of eastern Kentucky until Confederate General Bragg launched his offensive the following summer of 1862. In total, the Union suffered 27 casualties and losses out of 2,100 men, while the Confederates endured 65 casualties out of the 2,500 that fought for them. For future President James A. Garfield, the victory promoted him, making him one of the youngest generals in the Union Army. The news of his success spread throughout the North and earned the Battle of Middle Creek the nickname, the battle that made a presidency. If you've learned something, consider dropping a like and subscribing to my channel. Your support would mean the world to me.